let's talk about the cold email that grew Clarity.fm to a $1.6 million fundraising round and an ultimate acquisition in the tens of millions. So it all started from a cold email from this guy, Dan Martell. Today, he's the founder and CEO of SaaS Academy, a big time coaching program for B2B SaaS founders. But a couple of years ago, he started a business that is, as we all know it, Clarity.fm, in a really interesting way for anyone who's doing cold outreach. Cold email is going to have a lot of takeaways for what we're going to discuss. Right, Jeremy?
Yes, and he's been also on our
Yeah.
show. Do you know what episode it was, Jack? It's a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. I think it's 37.
Okay. One of the early
Let's
episodes, of course, because we are
28, episode
28.
28. Yeah.
Nice.
And a shout out to Dan Martell. He's also a former SalesBread client. So that's a interesting anecdote. But let's go right into the good stuff. So
Yes.
we're going to share a screen. Throw 10 minutes on the clock, Jeremy, so we don't get too distracted. But there's a bit of a backstory that's important to share before we go straight into the email copy, which I've got on my screen. I'm going to share briefly. But like, we have to think about the strategy behind this template, because sharing the template is only a piece of the puzzle. So how the heck do you grow a company from literally zero? That is a marketplace. Clarity.fm matches experts in the B2B consulting world among different topics: social media, SEO, programming, fundraising. And then it also matches entrepreneurs who are hungry for advice. Okay. How do you do that with cold email? Well, Jeremy's like, I'm just going to let you go for this, Jack. Yeah. You're on a roll.
It's a double-sided market. Let's go through it. It's a double-sided market. It's very difficult to kickstart those markets, and you can do it with cold outreach, right? And
that's right.
If you listen to Noah Kagan or other, hustler, they will tell you, just reach out to your network, start, matching people together, and then put them, on a website and so on. But I'm curious to see how Dan Martell did it. You got the cold outreach, you got the cold email that he used. Come on, show us, Jack.
Okay. So here's how it goes. Dan Martell executed this brilliantly. First, he decided to start with just social media as the topic that he was going to grow Clarity.fm with. Okay.
Sure.
So the first thing you need is, or at least in this example, is you needed somebody who was willing to pay money to a consultant to help them with social media. In this case, Dan, from his personal network, knew somebody named Lisa. Lisa told him she was looking for someone to help him with social media marketing. Okay. And this is pre the marketplace. So then I love this. From a list building perspective, it gets no better, Jeremy. Dan turned to SlideShare. I think it's slideshare.net, right?
Yeah. That was that was a long time before it was acquired by LinkedIn.
Interesting. Okay. So what do? You go into SlideShare and you search for social media presentations. And Dan sorted them from most popular to least. So now he was looking at the top 10 most popular social media presentations on SlideShare. Okay. And to make the shoe fit even better, what's at the last page of every consultant's presentation, Jeremy?
Of course, their email address or whatever the way to contact. No,
is it? He said 70% of the time there is an email address found on the last slide. Okay, so here's the steps: get somebody who Dan knows is interested in paying a consultant for social media, aka have a real thing on the other side of this marketplace, even if it's just one. Okay. Then step 2, using SlideShare, find the email addresses for 10 true experts within social media. Step 3, reach out, and I'm not gonna make you wait anymore. We're just gonna
Thanks
show,
God.
we're just gonna show the template. And then just bear in mind, step 5 is scale that up. So pick another vertical, find another customer in that world, and rinse and repeat until you get a $1.6 million funding event and an acquisition. So let's take a look at
the
this.
cool email is just, want to make some money? Question mark.
Yeah, almost. So look, let's do some screen share. No further ado, but you have to forgive me, Jeremy. I do not know what the subject line was.
Oh no.
I got everything else though. I don't have the subject line, but let's see. I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay. This is it.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sentences. Yeah. Hey, hey name. Let's do a good job. Come on, hey name.
Hey Jack.
Clarity. Let me pretty this up. Clarity.fm allows entrepreneurs to get advice from other entrepreneurs over the phone. I have an entrepreneur named Lisa looking for advice on social media. I found you on SlideShare and it seems like you'd be the right person to talk to. Click here if you want to sign up and connect with Lisa and get paid for your advice.
Oh, wow.
Ah.
Do you think it still works?
A couple things have changed. First, connecting over the phone would be different, right?
Yeah, right.
Insert Zoom. Let's modify this, okay? And then I don't think we would do
anything.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't do the click here.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's not happening anymore.
Right. So maybe something like worth introducing you to Lisa, and make sure you get paid for your advice, ? What would you do different?
That's a very tricky question.
Yeah.
Because nowadays people are really bombarded with those options.
Yes, but hold on, Jeremy. I'm worried that we're adapting this message before we appreciate the genius of it.
Okay, yeah. Fine.
Okay, so let's just break down what it got really good. So first, the list couldn't have been better. These are social media experts.
50% there, right? If not more.
Right. Mm-hmm. Next, I think it's really easy to discount, oh, well, that's great. Of course this thing worked. That's really smart. But of course it worked because of the positioning Dan used. And that, if you get one takeaway from this episode, remember that Dan didn't just say, hey, you're a SlideShare presenter with social media. Would you be looking to join my marketplace where I could then find you people to that probably wouldn't have worked, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's true.
That probably wouldn't work. So instead, Dan's genius. He said, no. I'm going to first find a customer. And I'm sure that was really easy to do. Through his network, he came across somebody. In this case, she was named Lisa, looking to pay for advice. And he used that as the starter. And I love this because it is honest. That is generally the scenario here. If the person clicked there and signed up, they would be connected. And 2, it's so much more compelling than just, do you want to join my brand new marketplace where there's nobody there right now? Come on, that's good.
For sure. It is really good. What I'm saying is that for the time, I think it was spot on, obviously, since it worked very well. Yeah. The question is, would that work today if I was to do the same thing? And that's what I'm trying to adapt here. Right?
Then totally, we would do things slightly different, but I wouldn't change. I have someone right now ready to pay you. I would keep that.
No, I love it too. I think this is definitely something we should change. The call to action should probably be worked on a little bit. Jeremy, one thing I'd love to see. You're not going that direction.
No, I'm not here yet because we haven't talked about the execution yet, and that's interesting because he laid out how he did this. So at first, he sent a couple hundred of these himself, just Dan reaching out. He checked if it worked. 200 emails later, this thing works good enough where it was time to get 2 VAs in the Philippines in his scenario. Paid them, not a whole lot per hour. I think it was like $3 an hour. And again, this is, more than 10 years ago. So that's kind of what it was. And had them scale that out to a couple thousand emails. There's a medium step in where there was an automation platform involved after it was like even more proven. So he calls it like those 3 steps. First, he did it manually. Yep. Then he found leverage to get 2 VAs to help him. And then he automated once it was like, ironed out. And then there was one other like really smart idea here among a sea of great ideas. But whenever Clarity.fm started growing and search queries on the platform hit cryptocurrency, like there was a surge of a new topic people are interested in. He said, triggered an alert, say, a lot of people are hungry for cryptocurrency advice right now. Let's go and find crypto experts. And that's exactly how they rolled it out, is letting the users, the market demand, tell Dan and his growth team which experts they needed to bring onto the platform. And by the way, the order was social media, SEO, and I've got some really ugly notes up here. Sure. Then business development, design. And just kept things really manually at first. I think this is solid gold, man.
It is. Yeah, I like the execution at the end about using their platform in order to figure out what to do next, like letting the market actually decide, which is spot on. So many entrepreneurs just think about what they would want, instead of actually what the market is saying. So
now,
I think it's great.
I did steer the conversation a little bit. Now, do you want to talk about making this a bit more modern for today's?
Yeah, I thought that was the direction you wanted to go, but the execution is also very interesting to know about, and I think that totally makes sense. I'd love to know what Jack and Jeremy have in stock for how to improve it, to be honest, or modernizing a little bit.
The only thing I'm going to touch is the call to action. That's it, and I'm not going to have people click. And I would do this, and I think you're going to agree with me here. Are you open to a 30-minute consult call with Lisa? Here we go. Hold on.
With Lisa, exactly.
With Lisa in exchange for $100 or $200, maybe make it more 2024.
What would be interesting, Jack? No, I think it's fine. What would be interesting to me would be to figure out how many each of those expert consultants, what's the lifetime value of it? Like, how much do they actually bring me? Because if they bring me like, let's say 3,000, total, let's say, or even like maybe $1,000, then in this case, I have my sort of budget I can play with, because then I can say, hey, I'm sorry, Lisa is not here. I'm still going to pay you $100. And what I do is I present you the platform and then see, next time we have John, Bob, whatever actually coming, I'd be happy to, link you with that person. How would that sound? And it's quite nice. It's reciprocity 101. And if you're closing one every 3 or 4, then suddenly, you get your math going.
And the best part is you could set up the call, be like, hey, Lisa couldn't join, but I'll happily take the call instead. And I've got a couple questions for my own platform, how you'd grow it. And then, hey, while we're here, do you want me to add your name?
Exactly, right.
That's actually pretty clever, Jeremy. I really like that.
We got 1 or 2 requests every week. I'm sorry for Lisa, but if you're interested in capitalizing on this, how about like we build up your stuff right now, and I help you out. I'll let you figure out, is that fair deal? I just pay you $100 for it, like the normal price. And I think, that's probably would be an angle I would try these days.
Yeah, and maybe even to make it smoother, I probably wouldn't use the name Lisa. I probably would just say, an entrepreneur in my network is looking to pay a consultant for social media help. Thought she'd be the person based on the slide share I saw.
Doesn't that make it more personal to just say Lisa?
It does. It does. But I
Oh,
think if you send this out 1,000 times, right?
I'm,
Like
I'm thinking,
you,
Jack.
you
So no,
what do
go
you
ahead.
got?
Yeah, if you send 1,000 times, I'll
You
tell you
send it
after.
a
It's a joke.
1,000 times. It might be challenging to pivot um, if enough people are expecting to meet with a Lisa. I,
Did you meet
I
Lisa from Clarity? No, you.
yeah, I don't know. That one I would need to see, okay, what would happen if this scenario occurs where Lisa drops out? Is there a way that you can pre-sale uh these consults and actually use the name as they come up, or eh, I wouldn't want this campaign to make things awkward. So because of that, I would like to see what does the reply rate change when we stop using first name?
Yeah, 100%. That's good. It's A/B testing, right? And you can do it when
Yeah.
you're sending so many emails a week. Definitely. The other thing you could do
Jeremy,
is you could also try the wife's name or the husband's name of, the expert you're contacting. Just so for familiarity or whatever. I don't know. I'm just
yeah,
like,
yeah. For
spitballing.
liking,
Yeah,
we like
exactly.
people that are similar to us.
Yeah,
All
they've
right, I
got a
see
same
that.
name or a name we keep on hearing all the
Oh
time,
my
right?
gosh,
I got a Lisa in my network. I'll be
this
happy
is
to help a
stupid.
Lisa.
Yeah, this is stupid, and I've never used it, but I've a very common pickup line is, "What's your name, Lisa?" Oh, that's my mother's name, right? Like for some dumb reason, it's just so you're probably not too far off.
All
It
right.
all comes down to how do you uh, back that up in a way. But I think Dan's execution was spot on.
Yeah,
Um,
kudos to him.
and yeah, that was wonderful. So please follow Dan on social. He's going to teach you stuff, especially if you have a SaaS company. I highly recommend that. Good teacher, good mentor to have in your corner. And for
For cold
should we wrap,
outreach.
Jeremy? Yeah, for
Yeah,
cold
sure.
outreach, SalesBread brings you a lead a day. Quickmail.com handles the tech stack for cold email outreach, and course.quickmail.io will teach you everything else in between. So, Jeremy, thanks for going down a conversation on how Dan Martell did his thing with Clarity.fm.
Yeah, that was a blast. We should do that more often. Thanks, Jack.
Love it. See ya.
Bye.